1970, maybe 1972 Yellowstone Camper Renovation. All right. Not going to restore it, just going to get it up to something functional. It was gutted when I got it. As you can see that, and I put 3/4 inch insulation board and then sprayed in some yellow foam spray. Seal up all the cracks. 1/2 inch ply on the floor. Those are the wheel well boxes. They're going right there. Same thing down here. Okay, so I got 2 ends to do. And we'll step inside here and have a quick look around. This is it, 14 foot long. Probably paid too much for it, but the guy put new wheels on it, new rims on it. He bought it up in Green, Maine, hauled it down to Portland, and his wife said she needed a kitchen this year, so he had to shit can this project, and I took it over. So anyway, that's where we're at now. Getting this thing back into something functional. Okay, here's a little trick to get this piece of plywood scribed into the wall that's kind of got a curve. All right, set your plywood up there temporarily. Measure your furthest distance from the wall to the plywood. In this case, it's 5 inches. Just a tad over. You can go with 5. It's going to be a rough cut. So you're going to measure in. As you can get here is 5. So just from here in is 5. Okay, measuring that in there. There's your 5 right there. The rest of that's going to get tucked behind there. There's your 5. That's pretty much going to be a straight line all the way up. Got your 5 there. It's going to drop back a little bit, about 1.5 inches, right into here. That's your 5 there because it's going back in. Keep measuring down. Get your tape all the way in, bring it on down to about here. And you can see that's going to be about a 5. I can't get my tape back in there. Anyway, see what a pain in the ass it is. Okay, there's a little piece of strapping right there, a little piece of framing. That's your 5 there. Cut from there down here. Okay, then it's going to drop back in. Your 5 is right to the edge of the board here, all the way down. 5 is all the way down here. You got another piece of framing here. Measure back to 5. You're going to cut that piece out. You just got a little nub right there. All right, and make a few notes on your board. I don't want to cut here because I know that's going in, so I just wrote no cut there. And then darken up those lines. Get your jigsaw out and bring it back out on the board and cut it. And we'll see how it fits. Okay, get your board back on your horses. Grab your jigsaw. Just follow your lines. That's it. We'll see how it fits. Alright. Slide that in there. It's catching up here somewhere. So I'm going to grab that jigsaw, nip a little bit here. Cut a little bit there. And the rest of it, maybe a tad down there. And the rest of it should go in okay. Alright. Just going to nip this a little bit right here. There you go. There you go. Alright. Sorry, then cut the length. That's about as far as it's got to go. And that's it. Alright, one more cut. Gonna mark the window out. 1, 2. Pop that screw out. You're just going to get your height from here to here, about 4 inches. You're going to pull up 4 inches on that mark there, cut it out, and that'll be for your window. Alright, so you get all your cuts made. It should drop in here pretty clean. Get it tucked in behind. Sheathing. Slip it down. And that's it. That gap right there, you're going to run a little more spray foam and then you're going to trim it out. Alright. up about making everything fucking perfect. Looking for utility here, not fucking beauty. That's it. When you're screwing this plywood off, what I've been using here and what works pretty good, so the head's set, because you're going to have to skim coat this before you paint it, prime it and paint and all that. These are screws for cement board. You can see the profile on the head. It's got a pretty aggressive thread, so it tends to suck in well and goes below the surface, so you don't have to deal with a bunch of screw heads popping out. Okay, this is our progress for today. Got the sheathing in on all four walls and on the ceiling, and you got a platform put in for the bed, and there's the front of it. That's it for today. Okay, there's not much room to move around in here, but I'll just show you a few things that I've done since the last time I posted something on this. Primed all the walls, got all the plywood in, of course, and built the bed frame, and I'm working on the wheel wells right now. And we're ready for trim. Hold on, I'm going to spin it around here. That light's probably going to be too much. Anyway, that's the other end, and that's where we're at. And it's a miserable day in Maine. Raining cats and dogs. 2 days ago it was 94, today is 47. Anyway, that's the way it is up here sometimes. Alright, just run a little bit of bracing on the wheel wells here. I'll cut this bracing here and just lay it out about 30. You really don't have to measure. Just bring them all down about 1/3. This is just going to support the cap you put on top. That's all it's doing. Drop one in there. It's going to be tight. Let me trim that cap on it. Get the other one. Alright. Just get it good and flush on the top. Make sure you're flush on the top here. Just check it. Bring it back in. Just one screw toenail in will do it. Then you're going to have plywood on the top. So I'm going to stabilize that. Keep it flush. One. And name on this one. I'll go down from the top on this one. A good angle on that screw cap. There you go. That's it. Plywood on that one. Plywood on that one. I'll get something covered that later. And then we're going to trim it out. Just going to use battens on all the seams. Hit all the screw holes with spackling. And then put a finish coat of paint on it. And that's it. Bunch of 8-foot by 1/2-inch batten bolts. And what I'll do now is I'll run it through my planer once and have one good side on it for finishing up the inside. So I'll probably need 2 more with it. All right, starting to rain again. They're covered up. Okay, that's enough for today. We'll finish it up tomorrow, but I'll show you what we got done here on the trim today. It's not too much, but it's a start. And all this batten trim that I ripped was from one 8-foot 2x6. So save yourself some money and rip down 2x instead of buying it off the shelf already milled. I'll show you what we got here. Okay, we got one window trimmed in. We got the door, the trim on the door, another window, and we boxed in that top part right there. The rest of it's going to get caulked. Not too wild about that mess right there, but like I say, we're going to keep it, all the fancy trim work to a minimum. And this is what it looks like on the other side. This is what we'll do tomorrow. Box that one in, box the two windows in, and then trim out the vertical part down there. Now the walls, I decided I'm just going to skim them, try to get them as smooth as possible. Not put any battens on the joints, just put wood putty, some kind of filler in there, sand it down good, and call it good. The other thing we got to get, of course, are these vents on the ceiling. Those, of course, got to get trimmed out, and there's another one down here. Anyway, that's what we'll do tomorrow. One more window there. And one other thing I'd like to mention is that little Cobalt chop saw here. Real nice for doing your trim, very lightweight, throw it around easy, and seems to cut pretty good. I picked it up just a couple weeks ago. I got a Bosch, which is a little bigger, quite a bit bigger and heavier, but that's really not something I want to carry around all the time. But anyway, good saw. All right, we got a bunch of angles on here. So, quick way of doing this without wasting a lot of time. Get your T-level here, your T-square, whatever you want to call it. Lay it on your first angle, and you can eyeball that so that's pretty straight right there. All right, you got just about the right angle on there. You just eyeball it. All right, then take a piece of wood, a little bit longer than what you need. All right, and you're going to scribe that line on the wood. Just lay it down there. Scribe a line there. That's your first line. Put your T-square back up, right on there. Bring that all the way up. That's going to be your second line that you scribe. Measure your distance from here to here. And you got about 6 7/8. That's all you got. 6 7/8. Pull up your 6 7/8 from your long point here up, and then scribe your line right there. Oh shit. That wasn't quite right. I gotta go from here now. Do nothing. Alright. Okay, just want to point out one little detail here that you're going to have to notch around. Really wasn't anticipating it, but I'll flip this around and show you what we got to notch around. It's kind of a slow process, but got to get done. It's the flashing for the skylight there. Okay, that metal flashing right there, you can see it. It's on, runs parallel with the framing. This side was easy to notch, just a little notch there and lay it up. This one here, you got to run on a table saw, and what you're going to do is, that's where you're going to, hold on a minute. That's what you're going to cut out on the table saw. Run it flat first and then run it on edge, or vice versa. But 4 of those got to get cut just like that in order to get that to lay flat. Alright, that's what you're going to end up with after you notch it. And that'll lay right over the flashing there. Should lay flat. Let's give it a shot. Okay, you got those little gaps at the bottom. There's a bit of a bevel on this thing, so we're going to straighten that out before we put our bottom trim on. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, another wrap for today. Didn't get as far as I wanted to get. I want to get those walls prepped and primed again, and all the screw holes blocked in and the cracks with all that Durham wood putty, but didn't get quite far. So let's have a look and see what I got done today. All right, windows are trimmed out. Whoop, missed one. And I got the vents on the ceiling trimmed out. And what else we got here? One of those windows. And that window door. Okay, so like I said, I'm not running any horizontal battens. I'm just going to use all that Durham wood putty and a little bit of caulk. Try to get that smoothed out, sand it down good with the orbital, and get that window tomorrow that I missed today. And then hopefully we can get a final coat of paint on this thing and get her done. Anyway, those are a bunch of tools I'm using. Except for the table saw and the planer, which are both in the shop. This is pretty much all you need to get this stuff done. That little oscillating saw, where is it? Right there. That's pretty much indispensable. Of course, your circular saw, a couple tape measures, a couple hammers. Can't have too many hammers. That little chop saw and orbital sander and a drill. That's about it. A couple 20-volt batteries is good with a charger, and you should be able to get it done. And that's it for today. Okay, moving ahead with this renovation on the camper. What I did this morning was run a bunch of Durham wood putty on the cracks and the screw holes, and letting that set up. But I also went and got a little bit of plaster of Paris, just to do a little comparison on what the two are like. Just a small box of it, so we'll go ahead and give that a try. Yeah, I used up most of that Durham wood putty, but just wanted to give that plaster of Paris a shot and see how that goes. And also picked up another more flexible knife there to get that in a little easier. The ones I had were pretty rigid. Try and find a nice flexible one for it. That's about the consistency you're looking for there. You can see it kind of sticks to the trowel, but not real runny. You don't want it too runny, you don't want it too thick. All right, quick look around here at the seams and screw holes. Got most of them done, I guess. You can see the difference between the Durham wood putty and the plaster of Paris. I think I would rather work with the Durham wood putty. It seems to have a longer working time. That plaster of Paris, that hardens up pretty quick, so I'd stay away from it. And now we're going to run some caulk on all the seams and wipe them down. And when you're running that caulk, I'd recommend you get a 5-gallon bucket with some water in it, a sponge, a rag or something. And then when you run that bead of caulk, just go back over it with the sponge and you'll have a nice clean line. Okay, if you're running a bead of caulk here, just get that nozzle up there, push it in pretty tight, and keep a nice even steady pressure on the handle, right on down. You're gonna have a little build up here and there, but it's these gaps I'm trying to close. Right on down. Hey, what's up?
This looks good.
Yeah, I'm gonna get everything caulked up here.
I
bought some paint, so.
I got a 3D printed tool that has just a group.
All right, before you start sanding, just go around and knock all the big chunks off. That'll save you some sanding time. And then run your orbital sander once you get it done. Now, I ran a little bit here. Obviously, we're gonna have to skim it again and get a little smoother than it is. But initially, just go ahead and knock all the big chunks off. Okay, that's gonna be about it for today. I'm not gonna be back on this for a couple of days. I gotta go down, work on another job for a couple of days down on the coast. So, I'll kind of show you around here and see what I got, show you what I got accomplished today, and some of the stuff I used to get the walls looking semi-respectable. All right, I finished up with some joint compound over the Durham putty and the plaster Paris. It smoothed it out. I'm gonna have to put another skim coat on it. That's the way it looks pretty much all the way around. Just a little bit of joint compound in the joints, and then go back, sand it, and put another skim coat on it. And that's what I had. Caulk, Durham wood putty, joint compound to finish it up. Tried that plaster Paris. Might as well forget about that. I didn't really like it that much for this job anyway. I primed everything with that stain blocker here, and that'll be my finished paint right there. So that'll be probably about 4 or 5 days out. All right, have a good day. Okay, I think I picked out the wrong paint. Not too good at colors, but I know this one looks like shit, literally. So I'm gonna run back down Lowe's, get another color here. I ain't gonna put that on there. I'll show you what it is and tell me. Yeah, started putting that brown down, and nope, ain't gonna work. So I'll get something a little lighter. Save that for shed house somewhere or something. That's about what's good for. Yeah, I think I'll go with the blue. This is the color I got. Read that. Dig out blue. That's it. A little better than the brown. Yep. Walls roll out pretty quick, but just try to roll as close as you can to where you have to cut in with the brush. And I'm going to put 2 coats on because it's covering good, but 2 coats is always better. So just be careful, try to keep it off the trim. Cut it in as close as you can with the roller. Take your time with it. That's it. All right, got the walls rolled out, so now we start cutting it in, and it takes a little while. So just gonna go nice and easy around the windows. Load the brush up pretty good. Get a good 2-inch bevel brush, and you won't have to tape everything down. But just take your time cutting it in. Be nice and slow with that, and you won't load up the trim with all your paint. All right, I got the walls rolled out twice and everything cut in once. That's a little better. A lot better than 1 coat of paint. Anyway, that's twice rolled. I'm going to cut it in once, but you can see still got to go back, touch it up here and there, but that's that on the paint. Okay, we got to shift gears here and do a little more carpentry, but that's the paint right now. All right, just got some 1x8, which is actually 1x7 V-match, and wrap the box in that. Real quick and simple. Stretches it out okay. On the top, what I'm going to do is rip down some 2x12. Oh shit. Alright, I've got 18x40 on the top, so I don't know, 2x12 laying around. It was actually an old walkboard. So I ripped that down to 41, give me a little extra, and then I'm going to, cut it down to 41. I'll rip them both down. I got 4 of them. I'll rip them all down to 9. Join them together. I'll probably just glue them up, and that'll give me a little overhang on both ends, about a 3/4 1 inch overhang all the way around, and that'll dress it out with that 2x12. All right, like I said, if you got old scrap wood laying around, use it. With a belt sander, orbital sander, that's really all you need, and a table saw. You can rip this down, clean it up, join it, and maybe route the edge a little bit, and it'll look pretty good for a top. It'll be solid too. Okay, there's 3 of the 4 boards cut down to 9 inches. Just ripped them down on the table saw here. They were 2x12, so I made the first cut at 9.5 to get a clean edge, and then flipped it, and then finished it up with another cut at 9. That way, that gives me 2 clean edges to work with, and that'll be the first one I'm going to start belt sanding down. That's just about 3 or 4 minutes of belt sanding, so it gets it pretty good. I'll go back over it with the orbital sander, and that should be enough. That's that. Okay, so about 15 minutes. There's the same 4 boards. Look a little better. They're squared up on the table saw, so they should join fairly well. I'm not going to glue them. I'm just going to lay them in there and screw them down, and probably run a little bevel around the edges there. But that should be enough to cover these 2 tops here. There'll be a little gap on the bottom, but got an overhang of about 1 inch, so I'm not going to really worry about that too much. All right, got the wheel wells pretty much trimmed out. Capped it with that 2x12 that I belt sanded down, and then just ran a little bit of trim around the outside on both of them. Right there. They'll just be benches. Put some kind of cushion on them or something. That slab right there, I had that laying around the yard for a couple of years. I hand planed it down and belt sanded it and put a couple coats of spar urethane on there. And what I'm going to do with that is, this is 8 feet long. I got about 80 inches across, so I'll 45 it and run 80 that way, and then the rest down here. That'll just serve as a little countertop there. So hopefully that'll work out. And then the last thing I'm going to do today is paint this floor. So I got some deck paint, and I'll just roll that out, and that'll be it for today. I got the floor rolled out. I'll probably put 3 or 4 coats on the floor, but that'll do it for now. Walls are painted, trim's painted, ceiling paint I got to get, and clean that line up there. That'll about do it. Touch up a little bit of the trim, and put my bench in there. Not the bench, but the little countertop. Got to cut that, and a little more painting on the wheel wells. That's it. Getting there. Okay, I'm going to do a little work on the camper again. Back at it here, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to rip a slab down, the one I showed you the other day, and I'm going to install that. And I'll show you where I laid out the line. I got to square up one edge. It's got 2 live edges, so kind of hate to cut one live edge off, but I got to do it to get it tight to the wall. So I'll show you what I'm doing there. And that line I popped, that's where I'm going to rip it. There's no real way to square it, so I just kind of eyeballed it and tried to save as much as possible. And I'll just rip that, and then I'm going to cut it at 80 inches on a 45 and install it into the camper. So I'll show you that stuff. All right, before you start cutting it, check the depth on your saw. Make sure you're going to get all the way through it. And in this case, I've got it maxed out here, and it's just barely going to get through that slab, so I'll be good to go on that one. And one other thing before you start ripping it is make sure that you've got as much plate on the wood as possible. So I'm cutting it from this side so I can keep the majority of the plate on the circular saw in contact with the board. The other way, you're just going to be, that plate's going to be blowing in the wind there, so just make sure that's got plenty of coverage there. there it is, cut. I just freehanded that. You can run a guide down there if you want, but with this slab here, I had to kind of cut over the edge a little bit, so I just freehanded it. And it's going up against the wall, so it should be pretty tight. Okay, gonna go to plan B. I can't 45, but there's not gonna be enough left there, and that's just not gonna work. So it's 80 inches across, real tight 80, so I'm gonna drop about a good quarter, and I'm not gonna try to jam it in there. So I'll cut it 79 and, you know, a little, maybe 7/8, 3/4, something like that. But that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be squared off, no 45. And that's your cutoff, so that can be used for a stool or something. It's not going to get thrown away. But that's your countertop that's going in there. Okay, I'm going to take these 2x12s I just picked up and turn them into some shelving here, because storage is going to be at a premium. So these are 10 footers. I'll cut it down to 8 and use some of the excess for the spacing. So I'll show you what I'm going to put in there. Okay, I got that live edge slab fitted right under the window there, and that went in pretty good. I just got a couple of nailers underneath it and one running most of the weight underneath it there. Small shelf above, I think that's about 8 inches out. I've just got it faced there. And then put a little bit of shelving over here. It's about 8 feet long, 2x12, and just divide it up into random sections there for whatever you want to store up there. And that's about it for today, and I'll be back on it Saturday. 2 more days out. That's it. All right, doing the last few things on this trailer here. Had some bad rain yesterday, got rained out, so didn't get too much done, but I'll go and show you what I got done. I got some cabinets up and painted, and I'm just gonna put a cabinet under the live sledge countertop there today, and that'll pretty much wrap it up for this thing. Let me go inside and I'll show you here. Okay, I managed to get those cabinets up yesterday and painted. All right, like I said, this is about 6.5 coming out on a level line, and you've got about 10 3/4 coming up on a plumb line here. So when you mark these on your board, after you get that angle on there, there's that inside, your first reference point. That's going to be 10 3/4 up, 6 3/4 in, and that should, once you cut that out, that should fit in there pretty good. And that's just going to be a template, however big you want the shelf to be, maybe 3 or 4 of them, 2 or 3, whatever you want, and then just put your shelves in. All right, there's that small cabinet under the countertop. A lot of fixing to get it straight and level. It's just not, the walls aren't good, and you know, you're gonna have to just make a couple cuts until it looks right and fits in there snug. There's a bunch of tools I use. Good assortment of bits down there, your bevel, hand planer, jigsaw, your torpedo level, 2-foot level, a couple drills, hammer, and that oscillating tool, and a framing square or speed square right there. That's about it. Now we're gonna paint it and hopefully get this thing wrapped up today. One last shelf, and this is the last one. Right over where the bed's going. I just notched out the trim right here, and it's gonna butt into that window trim right there. So I'll go ahead and set that like so. I marked down 26 from the top, and then I just traced out a couple of these brackets. I got 4 of them, and just a simple trace and then jigsaw. I'll put those on the bottom, put this up here, and that'll be it. Okay, on that little bracket there, just make one, make a template, just a small design like that. Use it as a template, trace it, and cut it with a jigsaw. That's it. Okay, I didn't bother painting the bed platform. I just had some extra underlayment, roofing underlayment, so I just put a couple layers of that down, and then ran it up the wall a couple inches, so that mattress will sit right on there. Okay, one tip on cutting in when you're painting. Just get your brush loaded up and get that wall loaded up here, or the floor loaded up as much as you can, and then just kind of push it in against the wall. It'll save you a lot of time from taping and stuff. But if you get plenty of paint on there, you can just push that right in. Okay, we've got it pretty much done. That bed takes up a lot of room, but I had to get the big one because I'm not gonna have my feet hanging off the end there. And that shelf right there, that's going up over the bed. Another coat of paint on the floor. And got that cabinet painted right there, so that's about it. A few little touch-ups, and tomorrow it should be habitable. That's it. Long project, but about done. All right, just finishing up a few things inside the camper there, and need to make a little something to hang some mugs on. So if you got any scrap wood laying around, I'm just gonna run you through how I'm gonna make this backing for some hang some mugs on over a coffee pot there. Okay, just got a piece of 1x12 here, kind of laying around. It was waste basically, but what I'll do is just with a circular saw, that's all I'm going to use on it. It's just kind of run a line along the perimeter on the outside, all four sides. Just take your pencil and kind of guide it around all four sides there. All right, so now you've got the perimeter. It's marked. You're gonna cut a 45 on that with your circular saw. Yeah, just set your bevel on your circular saw to about 45 degrees, and then follow your line. You can see that bevel, but that's pretty much what you're going to end up with. This adds a little detail to the board, and then run your orbital sander over it and paint it. That's it. Okay, there's that piece of scrap 1x12 that I beveled the edges on, and I just painted it and bought a couple hooks from Lowe's and threw a couple mugs on there. But scrap wood works good for that. Okay, last video on the camper restoration. I've got it about where I want it to be, so let's take a look inside. All right, this was the restoration project. That's what it looks like now. That bed in there, a couple shelves. That board I cut today that I posted a little video on for the coffee holders there. I've got my refrigerator and my AC unit. Refrigerator's packed, it's ready to go, so everything's under control there. And let me back up here. That's the other end. I got my desk down there and bookshelf above there, and that's about it. Anyway, hope you got a little something out of the videos. If you did, hit the like and subscribe. That'd be great. Have a good day.